The administration is defending its decision to kill Iran's top general amid shifting reasons for carrying out the attack. We're also getting a look at the damage from Iranian missile fire at an Iraqi base housing American troops. New video shows the extent of damage to the Al-Assad air base in Iraq, targeted by Iran's retaliatory missile attack last week.
We huddled together and held one another. I still can't fathom that no one was hurt.
U.S. troops hunkered down in bunkers while Iran avenged the death of its top general Qassem Soleimani. President Trump continues to defend his decision to take out Soleimani, but the administration is facing pressure to provide details of the intelligence used to justify the attack.
Here's what's been consistent. We killed Soleimani, the #1 terrorist in the world by every account.
CBS News has confirmed the president authorized a strike as early as this summer if Iran crossed the president's red line of American deaths. Attorney General William Barr added that the strike was legally justified.
This was a legitimate act of self-defense because it disrupted ongoing attacks that were being conducted, a campaign against the Americans.
Despite conflicting and changing statements within the administration, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said there were actually multiple embassies at risk, and he dismissed claims they were not informed of the threat.
They were not only notified, but we took extensive actions to do everything we could to ensure that they were safe and secure.
The president's foreign policy is dangerously incompetent.
President Trump retweeted this doctored photo accusing Democrats of defending terrorists. Off camera, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the president has, quote, no association with fact. Secretary Pompeo has declined an invitation to testify in the House Tuesday about the administration's decision with regard to Iran.
The propaganda is so strong, the pushback is, so you think it's great, you think it's terrible that we killed a guy who's responsible for the deaths of 600 Americans. And as Scott Horton at the Libertarian Institute, a good friend of ours, he had a really good blog post. He said this is an absolute lie. First of all, that is blaming the Iranian Shia militia for every single American killed by these roadside bombs, which is not technically, they're not capable of doing. And the second thing, and actually this was backed up by Matthew Ho, who, as we know Matt, and he was there. He said, I was there, and I will tell you, these IEDs were Iraqi-made, Iraqi-manufactured, and placed by Iraqis. This was not an Iranian operation. So this is a propaganda lie, just like all of the ones that they make, Saddam's WMDs, et cetera, et cetera. This is a propaganda lie, and it sticks in the minds of Americans, and they want to use it to make us look bad, right, to make us look like we love this guy, when we just have to look at the facts. So I guess I would close by saying something that Dr. Paul said. This is all interesting, but guess what? The withdrawal is happening anyway. The U.S. admitted that a repositioning was taking place. They got to take troops out of Baghdad because it's no longer safe to have our military in Baghdad. That's what happened. That's the results of bad foreign policy when you believe your own lies. It's supposed to make us safer? Supposed to stop a war, Trump? Well, it looks like it's starting one. We can't even have our military there. And frankly, they're not even wanted. So as Dr. Paul said in his column yesterday, it's probably a good idea for them to listen to the Iraqi democracy, bring these troops home. The mission is over. There's no reason for us to be there. Why have these guys out there waiting to get killed for nothing?
The president said that he was whimpering and crying in his final moments.
I can tell you this. He crawled into a hole with 2 small children and blew himself up while his people stayed on the ground. You can deduce what kind of person it is based on that activity. So that would be just my empirical observation of what he did. I'm not able to confirm anything else about his last seconds. I just can't confirm that one way or another.
That is one of America's top commanders back in October refusing to echo President Trump's fictionalized story about killing of ISIS's leader.
Because killing the head of ISIS wasn't enough.
No. Well,
you had to add to that.
To add color to that. Now America's defense secretary is refusing to endorse the president's claims about the specific threat against U.S. embassies posed by Iran.
Well, the president didn't say there was a tangible, he didn't cite a specific piece of evidence. What he said is he believed.
Are you saying there wasn't one?
I didn't see one with regard to 4 embassies. What I'm saying is I share the president's view that probably my expectation was they were going to go after our embassies.
Because, again, the killing of Soleimani, the probably most influential military leader across the Middle East over the past 30 years, that wasn't enough. You had to make things up. Of course, he had to make things up because they made things up from the very beginning. The attack was imminent. They were coming for
Why
us.
does the Secretary of Defense not have?
But you know, though, you could even see last weekend. By the way, Trump administration, why do you send people on Sunday shows? It's not like anybody ever leaves and they're like, wow, that worked out well for us. Yeah. Like every week. Like, Jonathan, Lemire, you should. Why? Every week. Why do they do? By the way, the Patriots still out of the playoffs.
They didn't let us back in. No.
They did not let you back in this weekend. But, I mean, I should just say last weekend, you actually could tell from Pompeo's answers that they were just making up the stuff about imminent. Like, Pompeo was having to push back, and it became very obvious after his 14th interview that Sunday that there was nothing imminent about it. And now we, of course, find out that from the SecDef that Donald Trump was making things up about, they were going to attack 87 embassies. It's just no truth to it.
From the beginning of this administration, one of the things that the president prizes most is the willingness of aides to go on television to defend him, even when it is defending a falsehood. So we have seen this now both of the last 2 weekends where top aides, Pompeo, as you say, and this week Esper, have gone out there and done the Sunday show circuit to make their case, to try to have to reverse engineer, to justify the decision the president has already made. We've seen in the past over outright lies. We've seen Stephen Miller and others walk up on the Sunday shows and talk about the millions of illegal votes.
But as my mother would say to one of her children, I will not say which one it was. No. Why do you lie when telling the truth would be so much better?
And unnecessary, as you say. Like, no one is going to question the killing of al-Baghdadi, but the president had to sell it with these details to sort of make him tougher and make the terrorist leader look weaker with the whimpering and the crying. Details that no one was ever be able to confirm, where there was no audio ability for the president to have heard that. Yeah. And then now, I mean, those are in some ways smaller things than this. This is justifying a military attack that could and still could have destabilized a region. Yes. And now they're seemingly falsifying intelligence. We know that senators and others say they were not presented with anything, even in a classified material, about threats about embassies. Yeah.
By the way, I'm getting.
On the 3rd, here's what Trump said after they killed him, after they killed Soleimani. Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act. Okay? Here's Pompeo the same day. The decision to eliminate Soleimani was in response to imminent threats to American lives. Then on January 5th, Pompeo was singing a slightly different tune. He said, "It's never one thing, it's a collective. It's a full situational awareness of risk and analysis." Sounds a little less certain. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, said days, weeks that day. And then on the 9th, here's Trump. "We caught a total monster and we took him out. We did it because they were looking to blow up our embassy." That's new information. And then on the 9th, Pompeo starts shifting even more. He says, "There were a series of imminent attacks that were being plotted by Soleimani. We don't know precisely when, and we don't know precisely where." Seems to be a contradiction in those two. And then on the 10th, Trump said, "I think it would have been 4 embassies, could have been military bases, could have been a lot of other things too, but it was imminent." And then yesterday, kind of the bombshell. Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense, was on, I think it was on CBS News or NBC News in an interview, and he said, quote, I didn't see one with regard to the 4 embassies, one being intelligence. I share the president's view that probably my expectation was that they were going to go after our embassies. He emphasized in that interview that he never saw a specific piece of intelligence suggesting this as a Secretary of Defense. And then, as Phil helpfully shared this morning, a new piece on the Hill, Trump said basically, it doesn't matter if it was imminent or not, he's a bad guy and I took him out.